Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to SA Accounting Academy. Here's a short clip on one of our previous webinars. I hope that you really do enjoy it.
So my name is Lettie Janse van Vuuren, and I will be your presenter for the next 2 hours, or give or take a couple of minutes for the Q&A. So normally about 90 minutes, that's how long we go for. And today's webinar is all about the evolving risks for money laundering, terrorist financing, and cybercrime during COVID-19. Now, the reason why this is important is because it has implications for professional accountants, both in business and in public practice. It also includes auditors and accountants in government, and that's why the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants issued a document on this topic. Right, so that's what this morning is all about. It's about the risks of money laundering, terrorist financing, and cybercrime during our COVID-19 pandemic, and obviously the effects that it has and the implications that it has on us as public accountants. That's the major one. All right. Let's just quickly run through our introductory slides. That's a little bit of background about me as your presenter. You'll see that this is what I do for a living. I'm a professional trainer and webinar host. And I'm also responsible for the monthly compliance and legislation updates at SAAA and your professional bodies as well. Right. If I'm not presenting webinars, I'm busy consulting to accounting and auditing practices, either on efficiency or standardization or quality control, or I'm busy helping them to prep for visits from regulators like SAICA and IRBA and so on and so forth. Right. That's what I do for a living. So let's start with the formal webinar then, and let's look at what's on the agenda. We're going to start off with an overview and introduction, looking at what professional accountants should know, and then how professional accountants should respond. Remember, this is all relating to money laundering, terrorist financing, and cybercrime. And this is the relating to the threats and the risks that have evolved as a result of COVID-19. Right, so the additional ones. So it's additional risks that we did not necessarily have to consider previously or prior to the existence of COVID-19. So we'll look at what professional accountants should know, how PAs should respond, and then which resources are available. So we'll look at the main resources, including any other useful little ones that you might find useful. All right. So let's get started with our quote. A quote by Wang Zhaowen saying that the clampdown on money laundering and corruption is the common responsibility of all the countries in the world. And you'll see that globally, since the money laundering legislation has been introduced, it was introduced, I think, way back in, 2003? So it's old news by now. But they formed a task force internationally called the Financial Action Task Force. And they are very much centered around anti-money laundering standards and who has what responsibilities in terms of money laundering. So they have also been included under your resources towards the end of the webinar. All right. But it's interesting, it's not someone else's problem, it's all of our problem. All right. So let's start with an overview and introduction. I want to start off by just recapping very briefly, what is money laundering? Okay, what is money laundering all about? Money laundering is all about the illegal process of concealing the origins of money and the origin of money that's obtained illegally. So number one, you're busy with some shady deals. The money is illegal. The money that you get is illegal. You then go and try to put this through a process to mask where the money came from. So you pass it through a sequence of banking transfers or commercial transactions, and every time a transfer takes place, it sort of is further from its original source and further from its original origin. Right. In the old days, money laundering was used physically because they had laundromats were used to launder money, not because they physically washed them. Okay, unless there was, I don't know, some mobster war involved and there was blood on the money, then I suppose they would have physically have washed it. But washing it now means that you clean it from its illicit origin, all right, from its illegal origin. You want to remove it. So that's what money laundering is all about. And in the old days, they had these laundromats because it was a cash business. Nobody goes to a laundromat and uses a card or has some sort of debt system. It was cash. So because there was lots of cash flowing in and out, it was easy to launder money. People would come in with legal money and they would leave with illegal money as change. Right. Unbeknownst to them. But the person who does the laundering has succeeded in now washing money, getting rid of illegal money that was obtained, and getting it through a business as fees. Right. So that's how they did that. So money laundering, number one, is an illegal process. There's money that was obtained illegally, and the process is now to conceal the origins of that money by passing it through commercial transactions or some form of process. And the overall scheme of this process then has the effect that clean money is returned to the launderer in an obscure and indirect way. So the money comes back to him, it's just in a different way, in a different form. Right. So that's very important to understand what money laundering is. And you'll see in the little picture, there's all sorts of different ways that you can launder money in. You don't just have to wash it in the tub and hang it up. You can wash it in a washing machine. You can go to a laundromat. You can even iron it if you want to. Okay, it depends. If you want to hang up your money on a washing line and beat it until it's clean, you're more than welcome to do that too. So the processes, it's not just one process. And it's the processes that are very inventive. All right. So I know that doesn't form part of the publication, but I don't think we can look at a publication about money laundering if you don't understand what money laundering is all about. Okay, some of the abbreviations that you'll see them use is ML stands for money laundering, TF stands for terrorist financing, and sometimes it's used together, like in this publication, they refer to it as MLTF. Now, MLTF is money laundering and terrorist financing. Right. Sometimes you'll also see them using things like AML, right? AML is anti-money laundering and terrorist financing. This is internationally. In South Africa, they use AML and CFT. AML, as we know, is anti-money laundering, and CFT is combating the financing of terrorism. So combating financing of terrorism. So it's just it's the only thing that we did in South Africa is we added an action word, a verb in front of it, right? As in combating. It's not just all about terrorist financing. But those are some of the abbreviations that are used, specifically the AMLTF and the MLTF that you'll see used widely throughout this document. So let's just go and have a look at what the effect is on us as individuals. We know that we've been disrupted, okay, by this pandemic because we were not able to carry out our activities in servicing our clients like we used to. Okay, we can't just get in our cars, go there, and everything is still available. There's social distancing involved. You've got to make an appointment, make sure that they're available if they are back in business, if they're not operating from home. So the way that we obtain the information that we need has changed, and that has changed the way that we do business, performing certain business functions, certain employment duties. It's changed our routines and behaviors, and it's also changed for individuals and businesses and non-profit organizations and governments. And it's not just us, it's worldwide. Now, the same exact thing can also be said for people with illicit objectives, okay? Such a Such a nice way of putting it, so euphemistically, right? Illicit objectives. People with what? People with dark motives. That's what it is.
I hope that you enjoyed that video. For more of our webinar videos, go to www.accountingacademy.co.za. Thank you and have a lovely day.